Okay, howdy folks, welcome back. Tilt this a little bit better here and get a good image for you there. Okay, so welcome back. Here we are. This is May 12th of 2022, and we got the loop going here. And I'm gonna let it go for a few times here, and let's see if you can spot anything different that's going on here besides what I usually point out. So look around, keep an eye out, see if you see anything different from what we usually have here. So I'm gonna let that run for a second here, and then I'll start pointing it out. Now usually we're looking at these CMEs and these explosions and objects coming out with them, but did you notice up here this object form and come right down to the top of the culture here? Now we've had stuff kind of flowing in on the sides and stuff before, but this looks like it's going in at the northern pole of the sun. And I've zoomed in and slowed it down for you here, so we're going to go to this now. And I want you to watch, like right in this area here, you'll see, boom, like an explosion here, almost like a portal opened. You'll see stuff go this way and this way. And as this comes down, at the very last here, it starts to make a connection with the sun. You'll see little beams coming out of this, either coming out of this object or it's making its plasma connection to the sun. And we'll freeze frame and go in on that. Maybe if we went just a tad bit darker here. There you can see the this connection starts to form. The closer it gets to the sun, then it has a plasma connection. Some plasma conduits start to reach out and connect to this object. Okay. So let me go back to the other one there. And now we're going to pause it and zoom in on this object right at the very end. And this is the last few frames right here. And let's see if we can capture this here. I want you guys to see. That's showing up a little very faintly on this camera. But out of this object are two white streaks, one here and one here. It's either plasma connecting to this or this thing is making some kind of exchange or something. Now we've captured these things collecting energy off the sun and then leaving. I think we're capturing one entering now. And when we put this back into motion, you'll see it looks like a drop, it dropped something in the water and it's starting to sink down to the bottom. And as it gets closer to the sun, you'll see these plasma streaks brighten up. Let's go another frame or two ahead here. Bear with me for a second here. So we can access this. Let's go this frame. Alright, and that was the last frame, is right here. As this object closes in, it's got a nice little white little streak coming down here where it's made a connection to the sun, a little plasma conduit or something possibly. So let me back up another frame here. That's not a very good one. Previous frame here. Here you can see these streaks a little bit more, just barely. Coming down right here off of this little object as it's reaching out and making a connection with the sun. Alright, here's where it really kind of first starts happening here. They're faint lines, and I don't know how well this is going to pick it up. Sometimes later on when I look at the videos, it seems to have picked it up pretty well. But anyways, we're going to go back to putting it in motion here. And I want you to watch as these streaks reach out as that object gets closer. And I believe that maybe we're seeing this thing enter the outer corona. When it plops in up here, it's like sticking your finger in a stream. It makes a little wake at 360, but this thing is going against the flow. All the flow is going out. This thing is pushing against the flow. It's as if somebody's pushing their finger down through this flow, and um, it's creating this little effect. And let's see if we can go back to that one. I want to pause it on one frame here because right about there, let's see if we can blow it up. You can see that this object is a round little circular object right here, and it's pushed in to the outer coronas, it's punctured like the magnetic field, and as it gets closer, it starts to make a little bond here. And that's a freeze frame of the little round object right there. And then something else I want to show you. So we've seen this thing encroach like this, right? I'm going to show you something else. Hold on for this. As we swoop over to the red side here, I want you to watch as this shadow comes and creeps in. Let's see, good camera angle on this. I think it makes all the difference in the world. All right, there we go. You can see this shadow creeping in here with a round tip on it right there. It creeps in right down through here. Now it looks like it's picking it up on the camera. So it looks like it's almost casting a shadow in all this solar wind that's coming off or something here. And the very last image, it's like a cone shape with a round tip on it. Get these wavy lines out of there and see if we can capture this really well. Let's try going this way a little bit. There we go. That kind of captures it a little bit there. So this is the first time I've ever seen these objects, when they're coming in, create a shadow on this red side. There is obviously some kind of object now that's dropping in here. It's even showing up on this side, casting some kind of shadow or some kind of wake in this material. So you see it on that side. Let me switch it over real quick to this side. You see it form right up here, come down in. I believe that's where it punctures the outer corona. It splashes in. As it gets closer, it gets more and more defined. It builds a little bond here at the end. It reaches out to the sun. Little beams come out of either this thing or reach up from the sun. It makes a connection here as it closes in. Yeah. That is unbelievable. So I'm trying to tell you guys this is serious, and it's not just a fluke. We capture round little objects or whatever. Now we're capturing them going in, and a little plasma conduit forming as it gets closer and closer. This isn't the surface of the sun. You got to remember the sun's more down in here. So it's already making a plasma connection from the sun way out here, and the sun's down in this area. See that? So it's reached quite a way. And I'm wondering, this is the last frame. I'm wondering how far down it goes. If it goes all the way in, what happens to what happens after this sequence here? Does it bounce off and come shooting out the side? Because you see stuff coming out the side, but it's not this. This is the very last frames of this thing entering from the northern pole of the sun. Usually this stuff, like I said, is coming from the side or from an angle over here. This is the first time I've ever seen anything come over the top northern pole of the sun and descend on it like this. I mean, this is unprecedented. This is showing you that there's more than just, magnetic bubbles popping off the sun. There is something going on here. These things are approaching the sun, they sucking energy off and then bouncing out. And we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them coming out. Now I think we're capturing a good capture here of one going in. And what kind of concerns me about this one here is all the other ones come shooting out at angles. They're going out at angles away from us. Most of these come in at an angle, hit and bounce out and go at a different angle. When they come in at the top like this could ricochet and come straight at us. This could ricochet off the southern part of the sun and come underneath our planet. I don't know. When I see something straight in line like this one concerns me because I'm wondering where it's going. Is it going to, get close enough to bounce back out? And what direction is it going to bounce out? If things come in at an angle, this one's coming in at a direct angle. So I don't know what to tell you, folks. I'm just trying to report on what I see and what appears to be going on. I refuse to take anybody else's word for what's going on. I want to see NASA explain this. I want to see the top astrophysicists in the world explain this to me. Explain this to me. Because this is something supernatural going on here. This is not normal. Okay? And when you see something coming up and approaching the sun like this, it's going against all this solar wind and everything, leaving a wake, leaving a shadow. Look over here. Look at this shadow again. Hopefully you guys can see that shadow dropping in there. Usually when these things come in, we never see them on this red instrument. This is the first time I have ever seen one of these things come in and leave a shadow and a trail like that coming in. I mean, I'm just going to let that sit there for a second and let it speak for itself. Because a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, here's a video that's worth millions of words. I want them to explain this. I want any kind of astrophysicist to explain what's going on here. This is not the sun spitting out a CME. This is not coming out. It's going in. Let's go back over here again. Look at this. This is not a CME coming out. This thing forms right about here. And it doesn't seem to form out of nowhere. To me, it looks like it's punctured. It looks like there's a splash effect up here. I want you guys to watch this splash effect too. Not just the object. I want you to watch this full halo splash effect, like a portal opening or something right here. Okay, I'm going to move my hand, my fat hand, so you guys can watch that. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that there's a 360-degree display starting from a focal point right about here. Then that thing descends and doesn't turn into a round object, it just becomes more defined. There's less plasma in the way. Okay, so there's like a focal point right here where everything explodes in a 360, right there. It's like somebody dropped a rock in the pond, or it looks like God stuck his finger in the solar wind and is reaching down and touching the sun, is what it looks like to me. It looks like he's reaching his finger down like through cellophane plastic, how you would poke through and it would leave a little point like that and a little dip. Something like along those lines, if you picture that in your mind. And this plasma connection here at the end, the closer it gets stronger, this little plasma connection. So it's interacting with the sun. It's having a plasma connection. This plasma conduit is forming when this thing comes in. Amazing, amazing. I'm always kind of blown away at these new things when we capture something different happening. And I never imagined we'd see something kind of like this. I mean, this is new. This is something a little more profound, something that's a little harder to explain away. And I dare anybody that's going to report on this. I doubt if anybody will report on it besides me. But if anybody, whoopsie, if anybody does decide to report on this, I want to see their explanation of what's going on here. Because I think it's one of these stellar cores puncturing the outer edge of the corona. And as it's coming in, it's getting closer and closer, and it's building a conduit between them, suggesting thus an object. Because CMEs don't form away from the sun. They don't explode out here in space away from the sun. They explode off the sun. There is clearly a small explosion right here, or an impact. It's this. Imagine if this is all fluid, almost like water coming off in a big circle, in a big spheroid circle. If you stuck your finger in that flow, it would do the same effect. This is almost like something coming out of another dimension, reaching into the third dimension and pushing down and leaving a dent in it and leaving a trail and a conduit or whatever. Okay, you can see it there. You see this explosion. I really need you guys to see this drop effect right there. Boom. Let me get my hand out of the way. Boom. Yes, good. It looks like the camera's picking it up. Okay? You see that drop effect. You see this round object approach the occulter here. It's approaching the sun, which is further down, but it's getting closer to the occulter. I'm going to switch back over to this side again. I want you guys to watch this shadow. This is a shadow. It's casting a shadow or something. And if you can't see it very well on this, let me try a couple of different things real quick. No, that's too bright. We need it darker. So let's go like right about there for a second. There we go. So right about there. Hopefully you guys can see a little bit better. Yeah, you can see this thing creeping in, and it's casting a big triangular shadow as it creeps in. There is an object there, undeniable. There is some kind of object right there, and it's going against the solar wind. Okay? Usually, like I said, this stuff is all coming out, and we're witnessing it, leaving the scene, not showing up and going closer to the sun. And shooting out rays. I don't know if it's shooting them out, maybe projecting a leader for the sun to reach out, connect to this leader, and that leader connect a lot like lightning do. That's what it kind of looks like to me, that maybe this thing is projecting some kind of beam in the first place to connect with something coming off the sun. But you can see it brightens up here. This object is reaching out and making a plasma connection with the sun. I wish I could zoom in a little tighter and a little closer, but I think this is giving the effect here. Let's go a little, let's try a little darker. So I want you to see those little beams. Maybe too dark, but yeah, there we go. Maybe that shows up. Somebody in chat, can you tell me if you can see it better? If there's anybody still in the chat room, just pop up and say if you can see this a little better when I push this back. It appears to look better on my screen. But yeah, you can see it brighten up. Right? The last few frames right here, something reaches out and makes a connection. And this, like I said, this is something totally the opposite of what we're used to seeing. Usually we see stuff come flying out. Here, I think we're witnessing the approach of one of these things. This is how it happens. They splash into the outer coronasphere. It is clear. Thank you. Thank you. 5x5. Oh, thank you. Oh, good. So you can hear me too. Now, yeah, I want you to watch closely as this thing approaches. You'll see two little parallel beams shoot out of it. and like it makes a little connection with the sun. Okay, good, good, good. I don't know what to tell you, folks. I think seeing, for me, seeing is believing, and when you're witnessing like stuff like this, and this is NASA's instrument. I don't even think they know what they're looking at, because they should be hiding this stuff. You would think, right? This is data that they're usually scrub, but we got lucky, and here it is on both instruments. And this shadow on this side is amazing. There we go. Seems to be picking it up a little better. Sorry, I have to do it this way. I am low tech, no funding type, just doing it on a wing and a prayer. So, yeah, quite amazing activity. I thought, all these X flares and all this activity that we've been having a lot of lately was pretty important and pronounced or profound. But this event right here defies everything. I I beg anybody to give me an explanation. So if you like this video, please in the comments, please leave a comment on what you guys think is going on here. This is just my interpretation. You guys might be seeing something else, and I want to hear your ideas. So please leave some comments on this video as to what you see and what you think is going on here. And I'll try to leave the link to this instrument in the description so you guys can come over and see for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Come over here and witness this for yourself and zoom in on it, and you'll see the beams. You'll see everything that I'm talking about. And I dare anybody to explain how an explosion happens right off the sun right here, and then an object descends and makes the plasma connection. That's crazy, yeah. And it's crazy, and it's happening. It's happening right here. This is the reason why they're distracting you so much right now. They got you looking at every other thing. Look over here, look over there, pay attention to this. Oh, we got this and that. When we should be looking at the sun. These are the last days. It tells you look for signs in the sun. I was told to report on this activity and these signs in the sun. And that's what I do. And I bring this stuff to you because I don't think anybody else is willing to admit that we got this. There's a couple other channels out there that do a really good job, and I believe that we have more than just one object here, folks. This is multiple objects doing different kinds of things. This kind of activity now, I'm not perplexed. I think I know what's going on here. But I dare any kind of astrophysicist or NASA specialist or anybody to explain what just happened right there. Because I know what happened. This thing punctured the outside of the coronosphere right here. There's magnetic shields. They go up in little layers. And as you puncture these different layers, just like our atmosphere, it makes a little splash. And then as it descends into the lower coronosphere, it starts to make a bond with the sun. And lightning works in a couple of different ways. One way is the cloud will have a leader point from the cloud reaching down to the ground. That causes an opposite effect, an opposite charge on the ground with a leader that'll reach up from the ground. Those two leaders meet up in midair and the whole lightning thing lights up. These appear to be leaders. This thing is reaching out, it looks like, or the sun's latching onto it. They're making a bond there. This is unprecedented. I mean, this is frustrating, having to report on this stuff and seeing what's going on, knowing the truth, and having just no recognition or anybody understanding what's going on here. So I'm just going to keep reporting on this and bringing it to you. And after seeing this, get ready for some more surprises, I guess. All these X flares. I was just explaining this to somebody that X flares are pretty rare. And to have one actually come in the direction of Earth is even rarer. And here we sit with, 4 X flares that were Earth directed in the last 2 months. So we are in new territory. We are in new ground, folks, and you're witnessing it right here. This is NASA's instrument looking at the sun. I didn't make this up. This isn't like some little video I put together. This is NASA's instruments. They're looking over here at the CMEs and stuff like that. Something else is going on too. Yeah. So I think I'm just kind of speechless now for a second. I'm going to let that play a little bit for you guys so you can see exactly what's going on in there. I'm not going to just pick out one frame and show you, oh, well, here's a single circle. I try to show you each frame, frame by frame, and I would go frame by frame through this, but you don't need to. I slowed it down here. We didn't get the last of the data, but that's okay. We got the most important part. This thing coming against the sun and descending and making a plasma connection. And then I want you, this drop effect. There's a couple effects in here that are important. That little boom, that halo drop effect right there. I dare any physicist to explain this, what's going on here. They can't. They're stuck in their science books. This defies everything that they explain. And what you guys are lucky. You guys get to witness this because not many people on the face of the planet get to witness this and see it and understand what's going on. You're like the chosen few who get to know more than the average Joe. I got an audience that comes from a wide range of knowledge, and I think you guys are all being pointed in a certain direction for a reason because I was told to look for this stuff. So when I've been told to look for it and then it appears, that's real prayers, real answered prayers, real miracles. So this you're witnessing stuff. The reason why it looks so odd is because these are miracles. Miracles aren't really recognizable. Everybody has these, misconceptions from what they've heard or whatever. But when you see signs in the sun as promised, those are miracles. Okay, this might not be good news or whatever, but that's how I interpret this stuff because the spiritual realm is very real. It is more real than the reality we're living in right now. This is a big show. This is like some big movie that we're living in right now. And what you're looking at are signs of real reality and something it's having effects on this planet. I was explaining to somebody the other day when one of these things passed by our planet, it caused a tidal surge on one side of the planet that flooded Iran. And then on the other side of the planet was a tidal retreat where the ocean just went out and disappeared for miles. And the people are out there walking on the sand going, where the hell did the ocean go? And it's not from a tsunami, it's not from an earthquake. It's a tidal retreat. And when one of these things comes close by our planet, it interacts just like our moon does and tugs on the water and causes these tidal retreats, these tidal surges. These things are charging. When the sun spits out these CMEs hit our magnetic field and it gets directed to our poles. Poles, just like poles on a battery, the planet is a big capacitor, just like a battery. And all that energy hits the magnetosphere, gets directed to the poles, and gets sent to the core. Our core is heating up. Our planet is heating up. When you heat something, it expands. It's like hard boiling an egg. You overboil it, and then the shell cracks. That's what's happening with our planet. These discharges of all this exotic particles and stuff still hitting our magnetosphere, the planet's absorbing it, and it can only take so much. What happens when you overcharge a battery? It'll do an electrical discharge, or it'll catch on fire. And I've seen discharges now where lightning is coming up from the ground and striking people. Not from a cloud overhead. We got discharges coming from the ground up now. And that's our planet emitting gamma radiation. Just like the sun emits gamma radiation, our planet is starting to do the same thing. So, but yeah, this little event right here is noteworthy. This is a sign. This is God saying, look at the sun. Boom. Look at this odd event here. This is way out of the norms. An explosion out here. It appears to be an explosion, but I don't think it's an explosion. I think that it's penetrating a certain layer in this coronasphere. If you guys really saw the sun's coronasphere, it has levels, just like our magnetic field has levels. This has its magnetic field, has shells, little levels, and as this one punctures a certain area, a certain shell, a certain ion potential or whatever, and it busts through that, it made a splash. It's like a rock dropping in the water. So this little splash effect and this thing coming down out of it, finally fighting all this solar wind, it's fighting the wind. It's going against the current. The current's all going out and it's fighting it. And as it gets closer, it finally makes a little plasma connection there. So I saw this one and I had to look at it for a while and study it and just to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing before I report this to you guys. And there's other activity going on in these CMEs, which I don't care to report on right now because this event right here is important. It's it's like screaming, "Hey, look at me over here! Look at me over here! Look at me over here!" Instead of focusing on all this stuff. One more time, boom, and then just again. Real quick, drag it over to this side because this shadow is unprecedented too. Never have I seen the shadow creep in like this, like somebody's reaching down and pointing their finger down and blocking some of this light. It has a cone shape effect on this. I don't know how well my camera's picking it up, like I said, but oops. There's a shadow descending on the sun. Wonder what's going on there. Yeah, I can't wait to hear anybody or I can't wait to hear somebody try to explain this one away if they even report on it. I doubt anybody will even report on this. They probably won't even notice. But I look at this stuff closely for you guys so I can find stuff like this and bring it to you. So I think that's about it for now. I had to kind of just do this on a whim because here we go again. Important activity that's going on. It doesn't look like it's earth threatening or anything like that, but something significant just happened there. And it defies all our astrophysics and everything right now. I want to see them try to explain what just happened there. And please, also in the comments, I would like to hear your opinions too. So please feel free to comment. That's it for now. I love you all. I miss you all. God bless you all. And until my next video, bye.